Hello, everybody. Now, I don't know if, um, I don't know if you're watching the VOD right now. If so, that's goated. But we'll get into it. You could probably skip 10 seconds or something. Cause I'm gonna say hi to chat. You can watch me do this. Is that fun? Hi, Gray. Now, this stream is probably going to upset a few people. But I just want to chat. I really want to talk about it cuz I am a talkative person, okay? I say what's on my mind. Beto. I say what's on my mind. So this is going to be like half an hour max for sure. But this is not to make anyone upset. So this is just my personal opinion. You can believe whatever you believe, but so can I, okay? Speaking of which, so here is one of my first issues with it. I feel like no matter how you twist it, unless you think that, okay, no matter how you twist it, spreading your religion is honestly not a good idea. I'm talking about Christianity because that's the one that I'm like most knowledgeable in. Okay, so let me start with a disclaimer. You can have your beliefs. I don't want you to legislate me based off of them, but you can have them. Okay? That's where I'll start. I hear my mom. Okay. I think a lot of people believe that if you never got introduced ever to religion, you'll be judged for your like who you are. Otherwise, that's not fair. Like that just doesn't feel right. You know, like if it's faith, then that wouldn't make sense. Also, my issue with the whole faith thing is like if you went to someone, okay? If you went to someone and you were like, "Hey, take this test. Would you rather be a good person right now and go chill with me in eternal happiness? Or would you rather do a couple bad things and burn forever?" What would people choose? But it's not presented that way. Like, if it was genuinely a choice, like where you're supposed to actively choose the two things, it wouldn't make sense because not everyone has access. Not everyone has access to the test, buddy. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but not everyone can see the prompt. Like, if you grow up in the South, you are most likely gonna be Christian and stay Christian forever. If you grow up, I don't know, some random island, that's a lot less likely. So that's already unfair. Right? And then also, if you're never introduced to it, that doesn't, like, then you don't know. And it's not presented in a way where, like, he could have easily, he's the creator of everything, he could easily go, here are the options. Otherwise, it's not, you can't test me on something you never taught me, buddy. Like, I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. But, oh my god, thank you for the sub. But, besides that, if it is based on faith, which would be unfair, if I never got introduced to it, a lot of Christians say that I would be judged for my character. And that sounds fair to me. Okay? Like, personally, I think that, like, atheists are the most, I want to say the most moral. Okay, this is another side tangent, but, like, I don't need to be promised eternal happiness to to be a good person. I just want to be because I do. You know, like, I just want to make people happy. I don't need to be scared of burning forever to do that. Oh my god, thank you for the sub. I love you. You know, and also there's a phenomenon when it comes to religious people where they are a lot less likely to be kind in everyday life because they feel there's the sense that they can pray later on and that they're already set, like they'll be forgiven. But also it's scientifically proven that if you've already done a good deed today, you are less likely to do another one. You know? Like, if you give money to a homeless person, you feel like, I did my good deed for the day. And you're less likely to be kind later on. You know? Where it, like, maxes out. And so that's another phenomenon with religious people, where they're like, I am a good person because I believe in this. I'm already set because I believe in this. And so they actually tend to not act as kindly in everyday life when it comes to small things like holding the door open or things like that. And this is general. Like, you could come up with a specific example for anything. Anywho, where I was going. If you never told me about Christianity and I would be judged for who I am as a person, that would be so much better. Like, I've had people be like, turn to God or go to hell. And I'm like, what if I never knew about God? And they're like, well, you do now. And I'm like, you could have just not told me. You screwed me. I'm going now. I am the type of person who needs proof for that kind of thing. So you just fucked me. If you kept it to yourself, if you kept it in your pants, that would have never, like, happened. You gave me the opportunity to reject him when you tried to convert me. That's not fair. That's not okay. But also, the people who are like, if you ask a Christian, do babies go to hell? They're probably going to be like, no. Like, no, they couldn't have. They couldn't have turned to God because they're a stupid little baby. You know what I mean? But what's the line? You know? Like, what if you're a year and a day old? All your friends, all your barely 1-year-old, all your 1-year-old and under friends are, like, chilling in heaven, and you're like, goo goo gaga. I missed the mark. I was a couple hours off. Like, that doesn't feel right. Okay? So you can't pull the, like, okay, well, some people are the exception. There's no exceptions, because what's the what's the line? Now you're admitting that not everyone has equal opportunity. You know? Like, if it was really gonna be faith-based, wouldn't he, like, set up a system where you actually could make that choice? 'Cause, like, if my life experiences are affecting whether or not I believe, to the point where you could say, well, if you've never been introduced to it, well, if you're this old, well, if you have this developmental disability. Like, so you're admitting that not everyone has the same opportunity. And that doesn't sound fair to me, so it cannot be faith-based. It genuinely can't be. Or that doesn't make any sense. Is being atheist not believing in a higher power, but instead believing in scientific evidence? It depends on the person. I am an atheist, but it's more so a thing of, like, I believe in what's scientifically proven, and if sorry, I haven't had water today. If you want to fill in the we don't know yet with theories of God or higher powers, then that's up to you. But I just don't. The world is too imperfect to have been created intentionally. And a lot of people say it's too perfect to be unintentional. It's too perfect to be a coincidence. I disagree. I really disagree. Um, like, there is no explanation for that. Like, I don't think that he could be all-knowing, all-powerful, and just. They would contradict each other, you know? But I am so confused, and someone please explain, because I have asked so many Christians, I've been so confused for so long. How in the world, and this isn't even a rant, this isn't even a hot take, how did Jesus die for my sins? If God is all-knowing. Like, why would he set up a system that he would later disprove? You know? And also, death is like, everyone dies. And you could say, oh, well, he was tortured to death. That was the most common execution method. Like, a lot of people died. And it's not like he went to hell forever like I would. Like, there's no 1-to-1 ratio with that. Like, it does not make sense to say he died for your sins by dying. And so if you don't believe that he did that, you're gonna suffer forever. But he suffered so that you wouldn't. Also, he literally said, like, forgive them for being ignorant. He literally died for our sins, so, like, I'm not saying to go out and sin, but, like, if you're ignorant to God's existence, like, didn't he die so that we'd be judged by our character? God let Jesus die for us, and the reason it even mattered to us is because he was perfect. But why? Who is he? Because if he was God's son, then that doesn't make... And how did he die for my sins? Like, I'm confused. He gave his only son. Wait, so he loves us so much that he killed his son, but also he never makes mistakes. So, like, how did he make the mistake that caused him to want to sacrifice his son? To then convince himself to be more chill. Quinn! Yeah? You gotta grab your pizza. I don't have the hands. Okay. Also, this is assuming that the Bible's honest. Because, like, there are multiple versions of the Bible itself. They're all the same person. So God killed himself to correct his mistake and change his own mind. Couldn't he have just made it right in the first place, or just changed his mind there or then? He already knew what was going to happen. He always already knew what was about to happen. So I don't understand why he would wait to see what happens if he already knows what happens. Like, if I am writing a book, I already know the ending. I'm not gonna, like, look at it and be like, well, let's see. God gave us free will. If the world was perfect, we wouldn't have free will. But why? What does free will mean? What does free will mean? And why am I punished for it then? I feel like if we had free will, the most just death would be to, like, die forever, right? Also, what's the point of us having free will? What does he gain from this? What does he want? Like, If he already knows what I'm gonna do with my life, why doesn't he just do that thing? Maybe because God is God and Jesus is just a messenger? No, but yeah. But why does he need to send a messenger to us? Couldn't he just like, boop, like, knowledge, I exist, into our minds? You want to have a trailer to follow him and his rules into heaven? Okay, but I don't know his rules. He didn't tell me his rules. Why doesn't he just tell me, why doesn't he just say, like, follow these rules and you'll come to heaven? Like, why doesn't he just tell me? Like, there's no way, he did in the Bible, but there are so many Bibles, honey. But, because he wants us to figure it out. But why? But why? Why does he want? Why does he want me to figure it out? Why doesn't he just, like, give us... He could just say, here's what it is. Why does he need my validation anyways? You have to believe in him so he could communicate with me. But he's God. He can communicate with me however he wants to communicate with me. And also, it doesn't logically, there is no logical reason to believe in him. It is literally faith-based. So I have to trust that I have to trust to believe in him. So why would he make it so hard? Like, wouldn't he just want me to be a good human being? Like, why does he need my validation? The Bible lines up in so many ways. No, it doesn't! Cain and Abel. Abel's wife. Look into Abel's wife. Honey, look into Abel's wife. There was no one else on earth. There was no one else in existence. And all of a sudden, she just appeared. She was just there. Where did they come from? Also, look up the non-canonicals. Okay? There's so many different kinds. Gay people can marry in the Word of God, then there's a... Okay, but if God was real, why would there be so many of them? You believe Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel to be a metaphor? Then can't God be a metaphor himself? Like, how do you know that that's a metaphor but everything else isn't? Like, the hare and the rabbit taught you to, like, take things slow, but I don't think that there was an actual hare and a rabbit in a race. We don't know, but we can use common sense. But what's the sense? What is the common sense? There should only be one God? Why, though? The Bible disagrees with evolution. I'm talking religion in general a little bit, just because, like, there is genuinely no way to prove that one book is right over another. You know? Bible is why, science is how, but they contradict each other. The earth wasn't made in a week. Unless you think that that was figurative, but you can't prove what's figurative in it and what isn't. So how do you know what's true? Also, how do you know the Bible is why? Why isn't Harry Potter why? There's so many versions of it too. Which is the right one? I don't know. Hi, Dad.
That bathroom's disgusting, and we've only been here a few days.
Oh, thanks for the pizza. Why are you, like, tempting me away from my room?
Hello.
Hi.
How are you? How?
Poopy. But
You're pooping?
I'll talk to you later. I will.
You don't want to talk now?
No, because I'm in the middle of something.
Okay.
But I love you. I'll see you.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Eyewitness testimony of what? You can't. Okay. Bruh. Prove that the Bible is valid without citing the Bible. And I'm not saying prove Jesus existed. Prove Jesus is right. I love you too. Sub! Oh my god, it's almost been a year. I don't think it's Little Caesars. I think it was like a microwavable one. Or not, it was like an oven, like a frozen one. Proof found in real life that say in the Bible. Like what? Dude, the sky is blue. And also, don't have blue eyes. It's bad for you. Real life thing. It's real. Like what? What? What do you mean he's right? I'm saying, like, if he made the claim that God exists, how do you prove that he was right? Like, sure, Jesus might have existed, but you don't know if he was right about God existing, like, just because he existed. I mean, if you want to prove that he was resurrected, that's a whole nother thing, but also it's like, you can't use a religious thing. You can't, that's the point of belief. Okay, but how do you know you're believing the right thing? Like, how do you know? That was so smart, Axel. I love you. Why are there so many versions of the Bible, though? Like, there's a version where baby Jesus kills people. Thank you for the sub. No, there's another version where Jesus hates his disciples. There are so many different kinds. You know? I already says it. Sorry, I'm not replying because I don't know what you're trying to say. How do I think the world was created? I'm okay with saying I don't know. I'm okay with saying I don't know, and I'm not gonna go tell people that they have to. I'm not gonna create a church around I don't know. I'm not gonna legislate based off of the rules of not knowing, you know? You can have your theory. You can say I think God created it.
Hey Quinn,
Hi.
are we?
Yeah, I'm ranting, and then I have to practice my dance, and then I have to talk to Dad, and then I'll be free. Pascal's wager is the worst thing ever invented, dude. Pascal's wager is actually, like, stupid as butt. I hate it. If someone believes the Big Bang is real, he can't because we don't know, that's why we're believing. Yeah, but you can't say, like, you can say you believe in God, but there's no proof that the Bible makes sense more than anything else. So you can't say, like, Jesus loves you or God loves you or things like that because you don't know. But you can say, I think he does. I think he does because of this and this and this. So what do you think the point of life is if there's no reward for being good or punishment for being bad? My reward for being good is seeing people smile. And the world is complicated. You know? I don't think there is a punishment for being bad for people. Like, I think it's lame and it sucks and it's hard to accept, and I wish that there was punishment, but I don't think there is. You know? I think that at the end of the day, the world keeps spinning, you know? And I'm gonna die one day, and my brain is gonna stop functioning, and my consciousness is gonna end. And that's what's been happening for thousands of years. Thousands of years. Why is there no way people just die the same? Also, what's the line? Like, what if I'm mostly good? People are too complicated for that. You know? And there are some things that'll never make up for it. Like, you know, you have to think for yourself what's real, and you have to read the Bible. I have, and read the Quran. I've read some of it. You know, there are so many, like, different religions that I don't think there could be one. Like, and if you look at history of the Catholic Church and the Protestant Church and the Romans and the Greeks and all of it, it has always fit the society pretty good, pretty well, you know? And so I am someone who believes in religious natural selection, which is the idea that, like, there are so many different beliefs and people believe what makes them feel better, you know? So, like, the reason there's so many different versions of the Bible is because it catered to that period, and the ones that don't cater well enough, people don't believe in and they don't tell their children, you know? Yeah, but that's an either or. Take it by all means. If you believe in God, he exists, you have gained, and if he does not exist, you've not lost anything. Then believe in the worst possible God you can think of, if that's the least sum. But why are you being good just for yourself? Like, if you are truly believing in something just for the sake of believing in it so that you don't get punished later, that's not moral, and that's not something that a just God would reward you for, you know? You should be a good person because you think it's the right thing to do. The highest IQ holder ever says Jesus is the truth. I don't care what the highest IQ holder has. IQ is not definitive, and he also owns the test. He owns the company that tests it. I've never talked to this man. I don't know how smart he is. I don't care how good at pattern recognition he has. Search Islam. No, but I don't I I'm okay with there being no purpose. I don't, I just don't think it's fair. Unless you believe plants go to heaven, you know? Do you think that, like, plants go to heaven? There's, like, so many different levels of consciousness. I don't think humans are that special. Do I think my dog's gonna go to heaven? I mean, I'd want to. But what about someone who's less conscious? What about a cow? What about a dog or a pig? What about a cockroach? You know? Do they get that? Do they get punished? If not all living things go to heaven or hell, then there's no way we do. And if we do, then that's not justified. Because my consciousness, there are dolphins that are smarter than like 5-year-olds. So if a dolphin doesn't believe, are they going somewhere? God is just and judges accordingly. But how do you know? How do you know? They're all a creation of God, but how do you know? It's proven that more can be accomplished with larger groups as opposed to a singular person. So the fact that he is, yes, I love you. He also just owns the company. Well, that's the idea of God, right? The ultimate being. Yeah, but there's no line. Like, where's the line? The world isn't black and white. God doesn't judge, so there's no heaven and hell? What happens when you die if he doesn't judge? Honey, I've read the Bible. I read the Bible, and in the Bible, God killed a lot of people. He burned them to death. I read the Bible, and in some versions, Jesus snaps them away. I read it, and in some versions, wearing 2 different fabrics will get you in eternal hell. You know? If he can't be all-powerful and all-knowing and just. Also, how do we know he's just? How do you know that he's not manipulating you? What am I thinking about Islam? I think all religions, there's no religion that is proven to be more believable than other religions. Because it makes sense. But explain why it makes sense. Because we suffer. No matter how terrible my child was, I wouldn't burn them forever. Thank you for the bit. But there is literally nothing my child could do that would make me torture them for eternity. My hypothetical kid. Taxi. Taxi could do nothing where I would want to hurt him that bad. You know? The punishment is not to enter heaven. But what's the line? There are people who are more deserving of it. You know? Like, what if you barely make the cut? And then there are people around you who deserved it more, but you made it? That doesn't sound fair. Is it like a 1-to-1 ratio? But how is that decided? The world is gray. You know? Taxi is perfect. This is true. You know what? You can pray for me. If you want to pray for me, you can do that. My uncle had a theory that this is the eternal hell and we keep coming back until we complete what we are meant to do. A sign of how long you've been here, and the hell is the wrinkles on your hands. I mean, that's interesting, but I don't know. It is just, it is so, words are never gonna, you can't tell me to read something and expect me to believe it. I am never gonna believe something based off of a book, or I would believe in Percy Jackson. You can pray for me, but that's so condescending. Like, do you seriously look at me and go, you deserve to be punished and tortured forever? Like, do you really think that about me? Because that's so mean. Like, if you truly believe that your family members and me and so many people in this world could go burn forever and deserve it, then I don't know if you love them. Because punishment is to teach you a lesson. But eternity is just torture. You know? God destroyed Job's life just to prove the point. Yeah. The hell in the Bible is not like burning and hot. It's way worse. So you want that to happen? Well, if you think that if I don't believe, you know, if you're like, I pray that you turn to this so that you can go to heaven. No, but you want to see me enter heaven? Do you think that I just have to believe in something random? I have to just turn in my test with Christianity in the answer. Like, you know? If you can prove to me that it is right above every other thing anyone could believe, you cannot prove that that's more true than the button room I came up with when I was little, where you could, like, choose if you wanted to come back and do it again. It was silly, but... That is true for a lot of religions, where you can, like, you take the bridge and you get tortured for a little while and then you, like, serve your time and you can go, you know? But, I think that makes more sense. The Christian God is the one and only true God. But how do you know? Prove it. I have researched all religions. I was brought to, like, every temple ever when I was little. There's only strong evidence for the existence of God. Okay, but why the Christian one? And which Christian one? Because there's so many versions of the Christian Bible. What's your thoughts on Eastern religions like Buddhism? I think they're actually really interesting. I think that people were kind of really going somewhere with the whole energy thing, but I don't think it's because there's actually energy going through your body. I think your mind is really powerful. Like, psychosomatic symptoms can go so far that, like, you feel pain, or that a part of your body literally dies because you believe it did, you know? So, like, I think they were going somewhere with the, like, energy thing. Um, do I actually believe in, like, the chi and everything? Not really. Do not make an argument right now of read this book or this book proves it. Okay? The order and design of the universe points to intelligent life. Okay, but it doesn't show a just one. Life can only come from life. Life cannot come from non-life. Technically not true, but like neurons can bounce together all the fucking time. Do I believe in karma? No. Cuz I don't think that the world is a just place. I think things happen and I want to believe that karma's a bitch, but I don't think it actually. I think everything has a consequence. I think everything, like, if I slam the table right now, I did that because of everything that ever happened. You know? Like, cause and effect. But, like, I don't think that if someone hurts me, they're gonna get punished for it one day. I want to. Like, with all I've been through, I want to. But that's not the world we live in. If that was the world we lived in, rich billionaires wouldn't get away with murder. Like they do. Do you think humans inherently want to believe in a higher power? I don't think it's human inherent. Because I don't know. That's not really proven. But I think it is. There is a desire in humans and a curiosity, and so we theorize, and so I think there's a natural inclination to theorize and to believe things. You know, we are social, we are logical as much as we can. And so I think believing, like, let's do this. I don't know. There is proof though that, like, if you put a rat in a room and give it food every minute, it'll eventually think it's causing it because it'll think, "Oh, well, I stood up like this and then I got the food, so I'm going to keep doing that and it'll work." You know? And they'll come up with a way to explain it. We're just naturally people who want to explain things. You know? I am technically atheist, but I think the most ethical way to be religious is to only fill in the I don't knows. Like, you can't say that science is wrong with religion, and you can't tell anyone else they're wrong with religion. I think the reason people are so rude, in your opinion, to believers is because of the trauma, and also because if you're telling me I'm gonna go burn forever and deserve it, I'm gonna have a reaction. You know what I mean? Like, if you tell me you're gonna burn forever, but I still love you, like, that's like, fuck? What are you saying? So how does that make sense that everything in the universe just is with no reason? Uh, wouldn't have a reason for our ability to contemplate everything and make more sense. Yeah, it does make sense. I don't know. Things just exist sometimes. People die. People live. There are trees. There are not. Like, I don't know. Things just happen. You know? Okay, you are so passive aggressive. Thank you, Layla. That was really passive aggressive. For no reason. I also think it's dangerous. You know, animals don't believe in religion, so why should we? I mean, we're animals, you know? Why? What do you want me to say to that? If someone's killing lesbians, they're wrong for killing lesbians. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, honey. Plus, no way God would make humans with this level of questioning and thinking if he didn't want us to use it. So I don't think doubting and not believing something because of the way you're wired to perceive the world would make you burn in hell forever. I mean, yeah. I feel like if there is a God, your faith doesn't matter to him. Or that wouldn't make sense. You know? So, like, just be a good person, it doesn't matter. I am against people spreading religion. In a way. Okay? Because if you think that people who don't know about God don't get punished for not knowing, then you are giving me the opportunity to not know. And that fucks me. And if he doesn't care, then why are you telling me? Just tell people to be a good person. Because saying that there's something that I can't... Like, you know what I mean? You come in heaven if you don't know Jesus? Okay, sure, bro. Hi, Kaylin. We've had a long conversation. That's awesome, babe. The devil exists too and sometimes puts shit in our head to put us away from God. That's what I think. Prove it, though. You know? Or is that just your theory? Because if it's just your theory, then don't make schools about it. You know? Don't make churches. Don't ask for money. Don't legislate. Don't make laws. Don't tell other people they're wrong. You know? Like, there is no right answer. So there should always be a I'm not sure if you're about to say a religion because you cannot prove it. You know? I'm not sure, but I don't think there's a God. I'm not sure, but I think there is a God. I'm not sure, but I think there's a multiple God. You know? I say it again, you can't prove anything. You can't... It's belief, you can't prove, like, there was no cameras back then. Then why do you believe it? Do you think that humans are inherently evil? No. I don't think religion gives people a reason to be good people. There's actually an opposite effect, which I talked about kind of towards the beginning of stream. But, people kind of justify their own wrongdoings through religion, or think, well, I'm a good person because I believe, and then forget about everything else. You know what I mean? Like, I actually think religion, like, gives people a reason to be bad. Of course I would, Axel. Wait, transition to what? Like the other gender? Why wouldn't I be? Transition to what? There are very few things that you could identify as that I would stop being friends with you. You know? Holier than thou mindset? Exactly, bro. Because you read the Bible. Prove it without the Bible, bro. A good person is only fit when he fears torment. Opposite. I feel exactly the opposite. I feel like if you are that self-absorbed that you need personal repercussions for your bad deeds in order to be a good person, then you are not a good like, I like making people smile. I don't care if it'll put me in eternal, like, heaven, happiness, you know? Circular reasoning, yeah. If you need, if you are a bad person without believing that it'll send you to hell, then you are just a bad person. You can't prove it. It's a belief. Read the Bible, then say for yourself, I have. And my life is like this. I believe every religion could be wrong. But I could be. What? No, but why would God want to not be provable? Because there are so many other versions of it. Like, you just have to be lucky and randomly choose it. You know what I mean? Like, if I grew up in the South, I would have a different likelihood of being Christian than if I grew up in, I don't fucking know, another country. God can think more of us, and there's a reason we can't even think about. No, but the difference between me and you is I want to find out the answers, so I say I don't know yet. But you're not comfortable with that, so you say it's God and I can't know. You know? God isn't hidden in complexity. He's obvious in presence. You don't find him by searching harder, but by noticing whatever leaves. That's God. Okay, but is there a book that is in? Or do you just, is that your own religion? You know? Nah, I just felt like it. My dad believes that if there is a God, it's light. Because light is the most unexplainable thing that exists, you know? There's no molecule for it. You can't see it, no matter what. There's no way, I mean, you can see it, but you can't, like, see a molecule of it. It doesn't cover something. It just exists. And it emits from things, somehow. You know? Like, we don't really understand it at all. And that's, like, if there's something that's all-powerful, I don't know. Kaylin. What about the horrible people that were never punished while they were alive, and the good people who suffer for being good? If there's no justice on earth, then why can't there be outside of it? I genuinely can't accept that there's no punishments for evil and rewards for good, or something like that. That is your own decision. And I think that's okay. If it helps you sleep at night, believe it. I'm okay with, I've accepted that the world isn't fair. C'est la vie. And I will do everything to make the world fair while I'm in it. You know? Everything has a negative and a positive, good or bad, light, darkness. You can pick your own side. What about the shade? What about when it's dim? What about sunset? The world is so complicated. You know? There's no good person. There's no bad person. Not really. Like at the end of the day. I love philosophy. If God was real, why would he let people create pineapple pizza? Exactly. Love is God, hate is evil. That's the most dangerous thing about religion. Religion tells people to think that people are evil, that there are evil people out there, and that there are good people out there. But that's just not true. Everyone is complicated. You know? Everything is complicated. And it's why I have a hard time hating anyone. Because the world's too complicated. You know? And there are people out there who think that everything is black and white. And when you think that everything is black and white, you lose your empathy. I want to know what's out there, and I'm not gonna settle for an answer that I can't prove, that I can't sit here and stand by. So I'm gonna say I don't know. And I'm gonna say the world's too complicated for any answer that exists right now. I have good intentions. And I want to make people happy. But I fuck up sometimes. There are people who I can't stand. And there are people who I have a hard time not hating. And people are complicated. I find happiness, even though it tortures me, and even though I've cried about it, and it's so terrifying, I don't know the answer. And I don't know if I ever will. But I don't want to live in a world where things are black and white. You know? I don't want to live in a world where believing in something blindly is the answer. I'm not going to try to fit everything into a box and make it make sense. There's a lot of things that don't. And I want to figure out why they don't. I don't want to fill in the blanks, you know? Because life isn't a test. I don't have to choose a random answer and hope that it was the right one to get an A. I volunteer at food food distribution. I can't think of the word right now. A food drive. I volunteer at a food drive every single week. There are people there that take way more than they need. And it's so frustrating. But they're not bad people. They're not evil. They're not the devil. The devil didn't possess them. They're not without God for making a mistake or for doing something selfish. Because the world isn't black and white. And I don't need a yes or no answer to be comfortable. And I want to. I am a very black and white thinker I'm a out of the box thinker, but I really want things to be black and white sometimes. Because it's so confusing that it's not. But there's nothing that is. And as I've gotten older, that's what I've tried to understand. I love people with my whole heart. You can say God loves everyone, Jesus loves everyone. Okay. I really, really love everyone, and I don't need their love to love them. I don't need them to believe I do. I don't need them to follow my rules. Because I think that people are complicated. And I think I'm gonna live my life. And I'm gonna die, and I'm probably gonna just stop existing. Because I've been close to death, and when you go through that, you know that's what's real. That's your experience. And there's also, take a psychology class. Because your brain does not tell the truth to you. You know? Your brain lies to you all the time. Everything you see, even, is a figment of your imagination based on input from the world. It reminds me of when people say they had a dream, and it's like, God told me to go do this thing in my dream. It's like, yeah, well, God told me there's a murderer in my house, and that didn't really happen, so. I don't know. People have, like, dreams about banging Kermit. Do you think that's gonna happen? In my dream, I met Danny Gonzalez and Drew Gooden. So if I have a rapture dream after being told the rapture is going to happen, I'm not surprised. That's delusion's not reality. How do you know? Like, don't trust yourself like that. You can be wrong. You can be wrong. And you don't need to be right. just be okay with being kind of right. When I talk, even right now, I'm not worried about being right. I'm worried about coming here with the evidence that I have and talking to people. You know? Because if you tell me, hey, you haven't considered this thing, then maybe I haven't, and maybe I could learn something. I'm not worried about being right. I'm worried about finding the truth. And I come with my perspective and you come with yours. And that is, you learn so much more when you stay in the gray area. Don't be so sure of yourself. You know, like, I'm not going to come on here and say, I'm right because I'm right, and I can't be wrong, you know? Yeah, be open-minded. I don't think anything matters. I think life can suck and it's not fair. And there's no way for it to be fair. Even when it comes to, like, getting hurt. If my abuser got punished forever for hurting me, that wouldn't change that I got hurt. Punishment doesn't erase it. Karma doesn't change what happened. You know? Like, I don't care if my bullies succeed in life because it doesn't change mine. Karma doesn't need to happen because it'll never change what happened in the first place. And so I don't need there to be karma. I don't need there to be an ultimate thing, you know? Like, shit happens. And there's too much gray area for there to be a consequence like that. If you take away one thing from this stream that is twice as long as I thought it would be, the gray area is the most important thing in our world, and I wish people were comfortable in it. Be wrong. But what matters is that you share what you feel and you're open to being wrong. Gave it! Speak your mind. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. You learn. And that's so much more amazing than staying wrong and having your ego intact. Be okay with being wrong. And question what you think is right. If you can't prove it, find out why. I was actually wrapping it up, Claire. I'm not kidding.
It's just been an hour.
I know. I was giving the moral of the story.
Welcome.
She rolls her eyes and walks away.
Come on, taxi.
Now I don't even remember where I was.
Stop making plans with you.
See, who's in the right? Is one of us good, one of us evil? Gray area. Atheism is not a religion. You know what I mean? So, like, I feel like Christians, or not Christians, theists have a really hard time understanding atheists because they think of it like a religion. You know? Like, there is no atheist handbook. Atheists aren't all the same. You know? Like, you could say, oh, I'm atheist or I'm agnostic, maybe, but I personally say I'm atheist even though I'm fine with there being a God. Like, I'm open to the possibility, but I don't think that, like, there needs to be a distinction there. I think, even with labels, saying that I'm an atheist, isn't it so much more interesting to have a conversation and hear what I actually believe? Yeah, what Layla said. I got bullied for being atheist before. Very godly of them. I don't know. But, I love you guys. Be okay with being wrong. Because if you're wrong, it means you get to learn. And learning is really exciting. But I will probably be back. I have to talk to my dad. I have to practice the dance, and then I'll be back. But I love you. Be kind because you like to, not because you're scared. I love you. Bye-bye.